I am so excited because today I have an amazing special guest here to chat with you about Pinterest. Rachel Ngom. She is an entrepreneur and Pinterest strategist. She went from having zero traffic on her blog to over 36,000 visitors now every single month. If you guys are ready to learn some serious strategy, like free traffic strategies, like no Facebook ads, like literally crazy pants like this, she's about to blow up your mind today. I would love to just kind of start with hearing a little bit more about how you kind of got started in entrepreneurship, because now you've got all this crazy success and people are like, where did we begin? Where does the journey begin?
Yeah, nowhere. I was not like an entrepreneur, like it started with, I got my master's in social work. We moved to Florida after I got my master's, and I couldn't find a job, even with my master's from the #1 program in the country. And my husband was just starting his business. So we were broke. I was pregnant. We were on food stamps, and it was really freaking stressful. We had negative $400 in our checking account. And I was like, something's got to give, and I got to figure something out because I don't want to bring a baby into this situation. And so I was actually part of a network marketing company at the time. And I was like, well, I see this thing, like people are having success. So I just decided to run with it. Went from, where I was to earning $80,000 the next year to the following year over $100,000. And I was having so much success on social media. I had 50,000 followers now on my Facebook page, 20,000 on Instagram. And I started blogging, and I started getting like all of this traffic on my blog. And I'm like, wow, like my Facebook page is really working, right? And I looked at my Google Analytics, and I was just shocked at 36,000 people visiting my blog every month, 34,000 of them coming from Pinterest, and it was for free and free traffic. And so as I started to realize, hey, this Pinterest thing is working, that's where I put more of my attention and started using it a little bit more strategically. And so I started building my email list, which is now to 14,000 on my fitness list, like without paying for ads or anything. This is like traffic coming from Pinterest to my email list. I launched a little ebook on my blog that it crashed my website the day it launched. I made $1,000 that first day, even though it crashed my website. And I still have people that come from Pinterest and buy my ebook every day. And it's like the coolest thing. So I started having all of these people, entrepreneurs asking me like, Rachel, how are you doing this? And having like the success, I'm like, it's Pinterest. So I actually started another business teaching entrepreneurs how to use Pinterest to grow their influence, income, and impact. And it's been freaking awesome.
Oh my God. Okay. So many questions. First, I want to go back because you said you were on food stamps. So how did you, just from a money mindset perspective, how did you go from being on food stamps to saying, yeah, I can build a 6-figure business? Like, were there some things that you needed to do to make that shift? Because that's a pretty big jump.
It was a big jump. It was really scary and really stressful at the time. And I actually I was following some like social media gurus at the time, and one of them launched a social media training course. And at the time, I think it was like $400, $450 a month for 6-month minimum. And I was like, and we were making $2,000 a month like at the time. So like in our mortgage was $1,500. So like it was a lot. And I just remember going to my husband, like tears in my eyes. And I was just like, I just have this like gut feeling that I need to do this course. And so I invested that money and like I ran with it. I was the best student, and that course, that investment completely changed everything.
Wow. Actually finishing the courses.
Actually, I was the best student. I showed up, I took notes, I did everything. I went all in because that was a heck of a lot of money at the time for us, yeah. But it paid itself off like so much.
Amazing what happens when you get like that skin in the game. You show up. Crazy.
It was like, this is our only option. It wasn't like, hey, you can go do this, Rachel. It was like, no, you have to make this work. So
yeah. I love that. Is that when you stumbled on Pinterest?
No, that was actually when I started having success with Facebook.
Oh.
Whole other thing. So I was building my Facebook fan page, and then, the changes that Facebook made with organic reach. And I had 50,000 followers, but I wasn't getting the same, you know, business and in our network marketing company, like all the sales and stuff that I was getting before. So I was like, I need to figure something else out. Like, so I started the blogging thing and just pinning my stuff on Pinterest.
Yeah. So
yeah.
explain to us a little bit about how this works. So you are pinning all of your stuff back to blogs, right?
Yeah. So I teach a couple different strategies. The one that works really well for me is just creating content every week. And so I create a blog post and I just upload that blog post onto Pinterest. And so that same blog post, like you can repurpose it on Facebook and Instagram and I turn it into a YouTube video, but you could do the same thing. So if you're doing, you know, this interview right now, you could easily save it, embed it on your blog and create like a Pinterest graphic, or you can even create a Pinterest graphic that leads to this live video on Facebook. So there's like a lot of different ways that you can use it just to increase your visibility and get more traffic.
I love it. So is there a specific formula for how certain pins are supposed to look or certain things that convert better than others?
Yes. So I have a lot of blog posts about this. So the images that convert, it's the long and skinny ones because those show up in the newsfeed. They take more space in the Pinterest newsfeed. So you want the long and skinny ones. You obviously want good images. Like you don't want to, you should see some of my old stuff. It's embarrassing.
Everybody.
Yeah. Oh my God. So in my like free cheat sheet that I have on my blog, I have like my before, like this is what I used to look like on my Pinterest. Like it was really sad. But so you want long and skinny images. You want text that's like easy to read, that like people know when I click on this, this is what I'm going to get. Like this is what it's going to take me to. And then like having a juicy headline on that image. So I actually use something called the AM Institute. Have you ever heard of that?
No, I haven't actually.
So it's aminstitute.com and it lets you test the emotional impact of your headlines. And so I use this. Yeah, that's awesome. I use this when I'm creating blog posts and then my Pinterest images too, like the text that I put on that Pinterest image. So you want the long and skinny, you want some text on it, and then the description is super key. So if you take away anything from this, it's that Pinterest is not social media. It's a search engine, just like Google. And so you want your pin descriptions to be something that someone's searching on Pinterest. So you can actually go to the Pinterest search bar and you can start typing in something and Pinterest will start to finish that like sentence for you. So using like a long tail keyword. And so an example, me and one of my awesome students were kind of dominating Pinterest in the intermittent fasting space. So if you search intermittent fasting for women, that's kind of like the keyword that we use in our pins and the descriptions and the title of our boards. And you'll find both of us, like every other pin, it's us. And we're like, when people, so many people come to my blog because they're searching for intermittent fasting for women and they're searching for that keyword, they find me on Pinterest, come to my blog. So think of it like Google and it's a search engine and you want to be strategic with those keywords. You don't want to just like throw up a description like, oh, come check out my blog post. You want to like let people know keywords. And then I always give a call to action in the pin description too. So I say like repin and come grab your free cheat sheet or whatever like freebie I have on my blog that they can get. But yeah, so the image, super key. And then the description is so important too.
Amazing. So how much research do you do before you like, maybe you create a YouTube video and that's going to be something that you embed into your blog. And so you want it to rank for YouTube. And then you also want it to rank on Pinterest and also on Google for the blog. So what type of research you do, or like, how do you reverse engineer it? Is it literally just researching search terms on Pinterest, YouTube, and Google and doing Google AdWords?
Yeah, so I actually have like a little mini course on my blog about like my entire strategy on how I do this. And I really do think like the research part is like almost as important or more important than the content part. So I see a lot of entrepreneurs, they're blogging every single day and they're being so consistent, but they're not using the right keywords and they don't know how to use SEO. So no one sees their stuff. And I'm like, can I teach you how to do this? So the first thing I do, I go to Pinterest and I just start typing in to see what people are actually searching for. So go to that search bar and I pick like a long tail keyword. I'm like, okay, so this is the topic that people are actually searching for. And I write that down in a Google Doc or, Pages or whatever. And then I open up Google AdWords and the keyword planner. And so I put that keyword into the keyword planner to see like what pops up. And I use one that it's a low amount of people that are searching for it. Mm-hmm. It's so hard to explain, especially for visual learners.
I know. Well, I was going to ask you in terms of like the searchability, people are like, okay, I'm putting it in Google AdWords. So guys, you can literally just go make a free account. You don't have to set everything up. Just go to the keyword planner. That's basically what we're talking about. And you just type in like intermittent fasting and it'll tell you how many people are searching for that search term. So is there a certain range of numbers that you look for that's like the hot spot? Like you don't want 10 million because you're probably going to get buried, and you don't want 100 because nobody's searching it.
I go for the lower searches. So between like 100 and 1,000 is what I go for. And I even do some that are between 10 and 100 because I'm like, if I could do a couple, like a series on a blog post about this, I'm going to dominate that search. So doing the planning before actually doing the YouTube video or the blog, like so important. So important.
I love this. This is so good. So when it comes to figuring out like what things to talk about, what content to talk about, do you feel like there's a specific group of niches that works best on Pinterest, or do you feel like anybody could crush it with any kind of topic?
I feel like anybody could crush it because you like think about personal behavior. If you're going to like a search engine, a lot of people are using Pinterest as that search engine for any topic. And so like for a lot of people like, well, it's only for recipes and like decor and that kind of thing. So obviously like I've crushed it in the fitness recipe health department. Like my one pin has been repinned 140,000 times or something. It's crazy. So I started my social media Pinterest business. I already have pins. And I mean, some of these blog posts are 2 months old. Like this is new. They've already been repinned over 1,000 times and generating traffic to my blog from Pinterest and getting opt-in. So I really do think it can work for so many different niches. And it's not just like for women who want to do decor and food and fitness.
I love it. So aside from getting the searchability of your pins like up and running, what are some other ways that you've been able to maybe use like group boards or different strategies that you have that help to get your pin in front of the right audience?
Yes. Okay. So there's a feature called Tailwind Tribes, and Tailwind is a Pinterest scheduling app. And so you can go to tailwindapp.com and they have a feature called Tailwind Tribes, and this is magical. Okay. So this like right alone is, oh my goodness. Okay. So you can search for tribes related to your niche. And so if you're in the entrepreneur space, you could search for female entrepreneurs or social media marketing or whatever you want. And you can join a tribe. And basically it's like a group board, but it's a little bit different. So to be like, the tribe has specific rules. So you share one of your pins in the tribe, and then you have to share someone else's pin in that tribe. But so to give you an idea of how many people you can reach, from one tribe, I've been able to reach almost 2 million people from using that feature for a month.
Wow.
So Tailwind Tribes.
This is crazy. Like, I hope anybody listening to this who maybe doesn't have an understanding of like what the numbers should look like or could look like, when you're doing something like a Facebook post or an Instagram post or Facebook ads, or even getting like somebody to share your stuff, guys, think about that. When you're creating a Facebook video, how many views are you getting? Like, you can see it right on there. This is crazy. This is crazy. Amazing.
I mean, think about Facebook and Instagram. So you're creating the video or the post or whatever, and it disappears within 24 hours. And with the way Facebook's logarithm works now, most people aren't going to see it, right? You might get like 5 people to actually see your stuff. So with Pinterest, think about it just like YouTube. It works for you over time, and your posts gain traction over time. So I did a blog post about intermittent fasting a year ago that people are still searching for, still finding me, still coming to my blog, still opting in, still buying my courses and ebook. Like, it's mind blowing. So I'm all about working smarter, not harder. And Pinterest is definitely the strategy to help you do that.
Oh yeah. And it's funny because I'm sure you see it too, that so many entrepreneurs, even people who like really have their stuff together, they don't have a YouTube stuff set up. They don't have a blog, they don't have Pinterest, they don't have a podcast, which are the more like searchable platforms. And they're just building things solely on Instagram and Facebook. And there's some people who they can batch create and they're fine and they're good with that. But man, there's like some serious scalability and sustainability to kind of just using Pinterest.
Yes, 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 and yes.
Oh my gosh. So, I mean, just based on what you're seeing, do you feel like Pinterest is like I mean, it's been around for a while. I never got into Pinterest. And every time I talk to somebody who's like, I'm crushing it on Pinterest, I'm always like, oh my God, like ADD, I gotta go, like do that strategy. But now I'm like, no, Jen, I think you really should go and do that strategy because I think it's amazing what I've seen people do and the numbers that are coming in with Pinterest.
It's crazy. And you don't need to spend a ton of time on it. So I like literally with my fitness business, I spent like an hour a month, no joke. And then I like forgot about it. And I like every time I would do a blog post, I would just pin it. And then I was like, where's the traffic coming from? I haven't done anything on Pinterest. And it was like all my old work that I did and that time that I invested months ago that paid off. So as with anything, like it takes a couple months to start getting traction and start getting people to like repin it and stuff when you follow the strategies that I teach. But after, 3 months, as with any social media platform takes time. But after 3 months, like my new blog, it's just like getting so much more traffic. So
if you don't blog, can you create a pin straight back to your Facebook?
Yes, you can. I have a tutorial on how to do that on my blog, but it's so easy to just upload a pin and then you can actually edit it and change the source URL. So you'll just go to your Facebook, whatever you want to share, copy the URL, paste it into the pin, upload it, and that's how you can get traffic on Facebook.
Yeah, guys, you could do it for your YouTube videos as well. So maybe you don't have a blog set up right now where you're taking the videos and you're embedding them into the blog post. You can just drive traffic directly to your YouTube and the YouTube video will pop up. And I mean, you don't really want to have a whole Pinterest of just YouTube videos. Like you'll want to probably have some pins as well, but have you seen—
You could do a board of like my YouTube videos and obviously title it like a little more specifically with the keywords and stuff. But you could do you know what either Zapier or IFTTT is, if this and that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you could—
those are two that we definitely want to highlight. So Zapier, right? Yep. And
Zapier and IFTTT.com. It's basically like automation systems. So funny story, I have it automated where every time I pin, it like hooks up to my Twitter and I tweet every time I pin. I'm not like a Twitter person at all. I don't think I logged in for like a year, but I logged in this past weekend and I've been getting so many people retweeting me and following me because of my Pinterest stuff that I had automated. And I was like, are you kidding me? Like, this is so funny. But you can set it up to like every time you do a Facebook post or an Instagram post, like it automatically uploads to a specific Pinterest board. So you can do that automatically and set it up and forget about it.
Is there, if you were to set up something like you created a new YouTube video and it automatically went to a specific Pinterest board for YouTube videos, would there be anything that you would then need to go in and edit and change, or would it transfer over pretty accurately?
So it'll probably have the description that you put on YouTube. I would go and just change the description because it might cut it off, because YouTube, you have like this whole area that you can do it. Pinterest, the description is shorter. So I would just go in and change it and put some extra keywords in there.
Okay, cool. So in terms of like boards, are there specific keyboards that people should have?
I definitely suggest having boards so like think about your Pinterest account is serving your ideal client and not for your own personal use. And so what I would suggest doing is just kind of like going into your Pinterest account and just cleaning up some of the old boards that you know is not going to serve your ideal client. So if you have like a bunch of recipes and you're a social media person, you can actually go in and just make those boards secret. So you can still pin to it, but your following's not going to see it.
Yeah.
So that's something I would do right away. And then I would create specific boards based off of what is going to add value to your ideal client. So I have boards like Pinterest marketing strategies, social media marketing strategies, blogging tips for entrepreneurs, apps for entrepreneurs, female entrepreneur quotes. So it's all like very specific, those long tail keywords that I know is going to help my audience. Does that make sense?
Love it. Do you have two separate accounts, one for your fitness?
I do.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I do. So I had to separate, there's such different businesses. Like if I'm on my fitness account and I'm talking about all these Pinterest strategies, people are gonna be like, I don't care about that, Rachel. Like weight loss tips or whatever. So I have two separate ones. My fitness one, I started less than 2 months ago, I want to say. And I just logged into my Pinterest analytics. It reaches almost 700,000 people per month.
Dude, oh my God, this is crazy. That is awesome. So this is a really timely question. And what's the best way to build a following on Pinterest if you're starting with a new account? So you just started with a new account and you have all the strategy. So what were the first things that you did to start establishing that account to get 700,000 views in 2 months?
Yeah. So Pinterest, it's really not so much about like how many followers you have. So I wouldn't like hustle to get more followers. It's more about creating that awesome content that people are searching for to get them to come to your blog. So if you're just starting out, so what I did was I changed my, I uploaded a picture of me and put your bio to be very specific. So mine is like, I help whoever you help get started with yada yada. So be like specific on who you help. Another tip is you can actually, your name on Pinterest, you can do like a dash and then put keywords next to your name. So I'll have to put both of my Pinterest accounts in the description so you can actually see like what I mean, but you can actually put those keywords next to your name too. And then I would just start creating 5 to 10 to start with boards that have the proper keywords based off of what is going to serve your audience. So I gave you a couple examples with, my Pinterest business. For my fitness business, I have like keto breakfast recipe ideas, keto dinner recipe ideas, intermittent fasting for women, how to get started with intermittent fasting. These are all different boards. And then I load them up with quality content. I'm repinning other people's stuff and then I'm uploading my own pins. And another thing people think you need, like, they're like, I only blog once a week. How am I going to come up with all this content? What I do is if you're using canva.com, you can create an image and duplicate it. And so I'll duplicate that image and I'll change like the headline or I'll change the color or just to make it a little different. And then every day I go in and upload it to Tailwind Tribes. I'll upload it to Pinterest, obviously. And that's just to get more traffic, more visibility. Another thing you can do is,
so you take one blog post and create multiple pins that all pin back to the same post. Brilliant.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Love it.
Dude. Yeah, it doesn't take any extra time hardly, at all. So yeah, smart, right? And then another thing that you can do, there's an app called Milo Tree, MILO Tree, and you can put that on your blog. And it's kind of like a little pop-up that says, follow me on Pinterest. So there's that, or you can embed your Pinterest boards into your blog posts or your sidebar. So there's a lot of different ways that you can get started and crush it.
Lots of freaking cool things. And this was another question that someone had. They were asking about how often do you pin your own stuff versus other people's stuff? And why is it helpful to pin other people's content on your boards? And do you have specific boards that you keep just your stuff? Okay, 4 questions in.
That's a lot. You might have to remind me. So I do have one board that's just my blog posts.
Okay.
And so I title it like my blog posts, comma, social media marketing tips, comma, Pinterest marketing tips, right? To use those keywords. And I think if you're going to ask like a Pinterest strategist, they might say something different because it used to be like repin 80% of the time, pin your own stuff 20% of the time. And I'm more like 60, 40, 50, 50 even. So like pin someone else's 50% of the time, pin your own 50% of the time. It really might depend on your account. And if you're just starting off, maybe you go for more 80-20 until you have more content to share. But something that you can do is, so I talked about Tailwind. You can actually schedule pins to go out through Tailwind. And so I recommend pinning often, like 20 to 30 times per day, which you could, I'm not on Pinterest all day, trust me, but you can schedule this stuff out. So you're pinning all the time. And then there's another app called Board Booster, boardbooster.com. You can set it to loop your own pins. So it's like repinning your pins on autopilot throughout the day. And you can set it to like how many you want to do per day, like what the time frame is. And yeah, so you're pinning Was there another question in there? Because there was like 4.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, let me jump. So this whole idea of repinning, where are these pins going? Because like I'm not a Pinterest person. And let's say most of the people who I asked in my tribe, I was like, hey guys, weird question about Pinterest. They're like, I don't know anything about Pinterest. So this is like new lingo for some people. So when you're saying you're repinning 20 to 30 times a day, are you taking a pin that's already on a board and adding it again to the board, or where is it going?
Okay, so if I'm repinning someone else's content, I'm taking it from, it's like in my Pinterest newsfeed, or it's from my Tailwind Tribes.
Gotcha.
So that's another way you're scheduling it from Tailwind Tribes. And then I'm repinning it on the board, my own board, that would just make the most sense. So if it's like someone's pin that's about Pinterest marketing, I'll add it to my Pinterest marketing tips board. And if I see someone that has a pin about branding, I would repin it and add it to my branding tips board. Mm-hmm. Make sense?
Totally. Yep. I think we've got it over here.
Okay.
Yeah. So then that was really it. Just so the whole idea of community is a huge aspect of this, that you really can't grow it just with your own stuff.
It would be hard. It would be really hard. I don't know any Pinterest experts that have grown it on their own. So I think a lot of it's the community aspect, especially with group boards and Tailwind Tribes, and sharing other people's stuff and sharing your own stuff. It gives them credibility, gives you credibility, and adds value.
Yeah. What are some of the biggest mistakes that you see people making with Pinterest, where you're like, no, I want to fix that? What are you doing?
I see this a lot. So their boards are just like recipes or tips or stuff I love. And I'm like, nobody's going to find that because you're not using those keywords. And so like, that's like the first thing that I do is go in and change the board titles. So it's like that long tail keyword based off of what, is going to serve their ideal client. So that's like the first thing that I do. And then change the description, the bio, so it's very clear on what the account does and who it serves and how they can help them. Another mistake is people aren't being consistent with it. So as with anything, you got to be consistent. And with Board Booster and Tailwind, it's so easy. You just literally, like, you could spend a day a month and just schedule a bunch of pins and kind of be done with it, and set up Board Booster to loop your stuff on autopilot. That's it. Like one day a month. That's it. What other mistakes? Not giving like a call to action or being specific with the pin description. Oh, yeah, so they're just pinning, and they're like, it just has the title of the name of the blog or something like that. Mm-hmm. So you want to give it kind of like a juicy description with that, the keyword that you're going for, so people will want to click through. And because your whole goal is to get them to click through to come to your blog, right? So you want to make sure that you're using that description to the fullest. I can give some examples if you want.
So what is your like highest converting? Well, I think it's important to say too, because some people who are listening to this do have email list stuff set up and some don't. But I was just working with a client the other day who was like, oh, I don't have an opt-in form on every single blog post, but I'm getting all of this traffic, but no opt-ins. And I'm like, don't make people look for it. Put that on there. So that's just like a funny little thing where I'm like, that's an obvious thing to do, but maybe not.
That's a big mistake I see people making. And actually I was on Pinterest and I saw, a mentor of mine, her pin. So I clicked through, went to her blog post, and all it did was show me the podcast show notes. And I had zero place to opt in or nothing to read about her. And I was like, no, like, you're missing out on like this traffic that could be coming. So making sure when someone comes from Pinterest that they like have a next step and they know how they can work with you. So one of my blog posts is that's been repinned like 150,000 times or whatever, is keto peanut butter fat bombs. Dude, you have to try them. They're so good. So I get so much traffic from it. And before, it was just like the recipe and that was it. And my bounce rate was huge. I was getting this traffic. People would come, check it out, and then peace out. What I did was I did a little intro, told them a little bit about me at the beginning of the post. And then I'm like, if you're new to eating keto, here are some super helpful blog posts that you can check out. And so I put like all of my different keto resources at the top too. So that would get them to stick around and get to know me a little bit before they bounce back to Pinterest. Because you want them coming from Pinterest to your blog and stay in there.
Mm-hmm. So then that really comes down to creating a space on your blog that is incredibly valuable and has content?
Yeah, if you're just doing the Pinterest part, but you don't have something on the other end to like really connect with them, you're gonna miss out on a lot of the opportunity that comes from Pinterest. So I think it really goes hand in hand.
Do you see a lot of, or I don't know if you can really track the opt-ins for this specifically, but do you see more opt-ins for people going back to your blog and then opting in, or people going maybe straight to a landing page to opt in? Or do you have pins that go directly to a landing page?
So I have both. So I have pins that go directly to a landing page, and then I have pins that go to a blog post that has an opt-in right there too. I mean, I can't tell the conversion rate, like which one converts better, but I have a feeling it's the blog post that's adding a ton of value before, because if someone's coming from Pinterest and all they see is my opt-in, they're like, who the heck is this chick?
Right.
Like, why should I trust her? But I teach like creating content that's really freaking good, like doing an epic blog post every single week. And if they go through that blog post and they're like, whoa, like she could have charged me money for this. This is so helpful. And then they see an opt-in too, where they're like, heck yeah, I want to learn from this chick. Like, I think that's more powerful.
Boom. And you're creating content like very consistently. So one of the things that I hear from a lot of new entrepreneurs is like, how do I come up with new ideas? How do you create so much? Like how are you always coming up with ideas? What's your strategy for that?
First thing is I ask people. So like I'll just ask. So like I'll just poll my audience or send out a survey or post on Facebook like, hey, what are you struggling with? What kind of content would you like to see from me? Mm-hmm. And then if I'm like stuck, I'll go to Pinterest and I'll just search in like my topics and things that I cover, and I'll see what other people are writing about. And I'm like, ooh, I could totally do a topic like that. Like that would be such a good blog post. So I think just kind of like looking and seeing what experts in your industry are doing and seeing how you could put your own spin on it, and asking people like, what do you need? Like, how can I help you? What are you struggling with? And then as far as being consistent, every freaking Monday is blogging day. So I set aside like the entire morning and I don't schedule any phone calls or anything. Like that is the day that I sit down and I write my blog posts. So you got to make sure you have like a time in your schedule consistently every single week that you have that time.
Yeah. Do you find that you're doing mostly stuff like blogs for Pinterest, or do you do a lot of video content as well?
So what I do is I do the blog post, and then I take that same blog post and I'll put like bullet points to it, and I'll do a video. I'll go live on Facebook with that content, and then I'll actually shoot like a proper YouTube video. Because I mean, you could take the Facebook live and put it on YouTube, but they're different platforms. So I have a video editor now. Hallelujah, she's amazing. I used to do all this stuff with myself, but so Wednesday usually is when I'll take that blog post and I'll do a video of it and then send it to my video editor and then put it on YouTube. So I'm all about working smarter, not harder. You could even take that blog post, and if you have like 6 different bullet points within that blog post, break it up, and you could share one of those bullet points on Instagram or on Facebook every day. And you could create like a little graphic in Canva for each of those bullet points that goes well on Instagram. So, I mean, you could use that one, couple hours that you spend making content in the morning, and then you have an entire week being on all different social media platforms.
I love it. That's exactly what I do. I kind of just flip it a little bit. I start with a live video, transcription, repurpose across everything.
There you go.
Break it down. Super, super simple. Yeah. And saves so much freaking time. It is crazy.
Yes. Because people ask me like, how are you on all these different platforms? And I'm like, just repurpose it.
Everywhere. Just change it.
Everywhere.
You need to respect the platform. Like you said, you know that live video on Facebook is going to be a little bit different. It's not going to convert as well on YouTube. So re-recording it, or, keeping certain things in mind when you are recording on live to kind of tweak it. But I like the strategy of just recording it twice and making it even better for YouTube and more condensed.
It literally takes like 5 extra minutes. Like it does not take that long to shoot. Like do it twice, right? And yeah, just better for that platform.
So true. I love it. In terms of SEO, just before we wrap up, I would love for you to just give a couple of little basics about that, because like so many people are really, really into different social media platforms, but they're not maybe bloggers and they're not super aware of what the deeper strategy is, and they're kind of in that state of like blissful ignorance of like they don't know what they don't know. So SEO stands for search engine optimization. And how exactly does it work for somebody who's like, this is a new term to me?
So basically, it's creating content that has the right keywords. You can search for the keywords on Google AdWords, the keyword planner. And when people are searching onto Google, Pinterest, whatever, they find your stuff. Your stuff is what pops up. So some super simple tips. There is a plugin that I use, Yoast SEO, and it's free. So you can download that plugin, and when you're creating like a blog post, it'll actually show you like, hey, you should fix this to improve your SEO. So that is super duper helpful. And what really changed for my business was when I niched down in terms of like what my topic was, and then for search engine terms too. So instead of trying to appease the masses or appeal to the masses, and just being like a fitness expert, I niched down and started talking more about eating high fat, low carb and intermittent fasting. And it's when I made that switch and started using specific keywords and like just being known for that one topic that everything kind of changed for me. And all, like traffic increased, that was my thing. So I don't think you can niche down too much. So if you're struggling like with your business, see if you can niche down a little bit and get a little bit more specific with what you're talking about.
Yeah, I always say creating content, or people who struggle to create content, it's really not a creativity issue. It's a not knowing your niche, avatar, and expertise issue. That's just like too broad. Got to narrow it down. Because once you know that you're talking about intermittent fasting, it's like, oh, I can talk about this specific thing underneath that umbrella. And all of a sudden you've got all these nice subtopics that are really specific and clear and serve a very obvious audience. So
yep.
Love it, love it, love it. So for you, what are you working on right now? Like what's next for Rachel?
Well, I'm working on our free 5-day Pinterest challenge that you can join, and that starts on December 11th. So you can sign up for that. That's the big thing that I'm working on right now.
Where can people, because I totally told you before we jumped on this, I was like, I signed up for your Pinterest challenge. Like I'm so ready to like learn some Pinterest strategy. So where can they go to sign up for that? And I will link that up in the show notes as well.
So it's rachelandgome.com/pin2profit.
Boom. I love it. And what can people expect from that challenge?
Ooh, you're going to learn a lot. Basically, every day I'll be going live and sharing with you different strategies that you can implement right away to take your Pinterest game to the next level.
I love it. And where can people come to hang out with you?
Pinterest, hello.
So link up your Pinterest boards for sure. So
pinterest.com/rachelandgome, rachelandgome.com, YouTube, Rachel and Gome, pretty much everywhere.
And your last name, just so you guys know, it's spelled Ngom.
Yep. So if you're confused, N is in Nancy, G is in girl, O, M is in Mary. Because when I say it, nobody knows. My husband's from West Africa. It's okay. But Rachel in Gome, and Rachel is just spelled Rachel. Amazing.
Any last quick tips?
Jump in. Don't get overwhelmed with all the different social media things. Like pick your thing that you're going to be good at and just focus on it and like dive in deep. I think everyone's trying to be everywhere and doing like just having like little successes, if any. So I would just like pick one place and dominate it and dive in deep and get really, really good at that and have that be your thing.
Boom. I love it. And guys, realize too, if this is all new to you, go back, take notes, and just break it down. I mean, I think Rachel, you did an amazing job of just giving like really bulleted, like very simple tips. Like it doesn't sound, it's a lot of steps, but really overall Pinterest is pretty straightforward. You make a board, you name it appropriately, you do some research, you make a picture in Canva or PicMonkey, and you link it up to a blog post, a Facebook Live, a YouTube video, and you're getting traffic there. Like that's kind of it in a nutshell. Like it's not it. Yeah.
It's not that, yeah. So I think a lot of people, they think, oh, I have to do all of these different things that you're doing, Rachel. I'm like, I did not do any of this stuff until I started teaching Pinterest and got really good at it. So like literally I just started with content, Pinterest, that's it. Like you don't have to get fancy or anything. Just start and you'll get better as you go.
Yeah. So what would be like one good place to start? Like just to start with one board?
I would change your bio. Grab my free cheat sheet for sure and join the challenge, because I'll give you my bio example of like what you should say and what it should look like. But I would change your bio and then create like 3 to 5 boards, and I would open up like a Google Doc and start planning out like what you want your 5 main keywords to be. So like I gave the example, intermittent fasting for women, keto diet for women, like those little long tail keywords. And I would just plan out like, what's your strategy, your game plan going to be, and have those like 5 keywords that you're going to stick with.
I love it. This is so good. Thank you so much for being here today. I so appreciate you diving deep, giving us some really juicy nuggets to start implementing. And I just appreciate what you're doing, all the amazing stuff you're doing.
Thank you so much for having me. I had a lot of fun.
Thank you guys so much for being here, and we will see you in the online space. Hopefully on Pinterest. Bye.